Hello and welcome again. In a list of videos, we were configuring Checkpoint Firewall, it is management server, the smart console. The video before this, we added one firewall to the management server, and then the plan was to allow the internal network to access the internet. The main reason is our Checkpoint management server needs to access the internet and download the hotfixes. So we have this management server that was deployed, but we cannot update it. So to update that, you can either do it offline, you download and then import the hotfixes over here, or you can directly connect it to the internet. Whichever you prefer, you can do it. Temporarily, I want to create a quick policy and that allows everything. So this is the default firewall rule that actually blocks everything. If we push this one to the gateway, everything will be stopped. But you need to plan what objects are in your internal network and then push policies. So I will show you a few things here. One is to create objects for your internal network and then hosts that manage your firewall. The connectivity to your firewall only dedicated to certain network or certain users, but not everybody can connect to your firewalls, and only some services are allowed for the firewall management. We can do those. But quickly at the end, what we will do is to allow full network connectivity to everything temporarily. It's not something you do in production, but for this lab, I just want to update the management server. So if you go to the network objects, there are certain things that are already by default available. But if I need to add new network, I can do it from here. And so if I say new network and my internal network, I can call name such as internal network, and you can use name spaces internal, let's just say, and you can say in the description internal network, and you may add the 10.1.1.0/24, things like that, and then you provide the subnet, which is 10.1.1.0, and its mask is 255.255.255.0, and the broadcast is included. NAT, we're not doing NAT for now. We are using to hide everything behind the firewall external interface. So for now, I just want to create the object in IP version 4, and there's no groups, so just add the object, and you might add your PC or other machines also to access the internet. So if you check my laptop connectivity to the internet, it has a IP address from my broadband, and if I want to allow that also to communicate with the firewalls, I would add those. But for now, what I have in the list is a firewall object. I can create hosts as well. I can create groups, but many other things you can create. If you want to push the policy, you can go to the security policy. That's the access control policy. There is also the NAT, and the NAT policy will have the objects you created. So if you see, one we created was the default NAT, hide NAT, where everything hides behind the firewall. Here, there's no static NAT, no rules, no rules, no rules. Network NAT, network hide, which is when we went to the firewall object, which is here, we went to the NAT, and in the NAT, we said hide everything behind the external firewall interface. That's what's showing in the NAT policy here. Nothing else was configured. So the detailed policy configurations, we will create separate videos, but this part of the Checkpoint series is to allow you to have a lab that's working, how you build, how you deploy, how you install and configure. These are the stages we are working on. The detailed policy will be later. So let's go to the security policy, the access policy, and you know the change we have done is to add a network. We added a network there. The second change we need to do is this firewall policy, instead of adding rules above or below, it won't be below, but above, and you're creating rules, we just want to quickly allow the management server to download the hotfixes. So I'm going to change this one to accept, and then if you scroll to the right, or you can close that one, we can log everything here if you want to. This will be a big log, and then after that you can actually do the change and publish, and then you can create changed oops, deny all. It's called cleanup role. cleanup rule to allow all. Added, this is the two changes you have done. Added network object 10 network object 10.1.1.0/24. These are the two changes, so you can number them if you want to. It's easy to follow in the logs. So we say publish, so that's now published. But what you haven't done is this policy is not installed to the gateway. So if you go to the firewall in the gateway, if you log in and if you say, then you can check the firewall policy FW start. If you do that, it will tell you what's installed. It's initial policy, but what we are configuring, the policy name we're using the default name, but you can change the default name. So if you go to objects here and then you can say manage policies, it's called standard. You can rename that. Instead of standard, you can call the name right here, you can call perimeter policy. That's the policy we're going to change, and then save it. And where you're going to install, if you have a list of firewalls in your management server, you can dedicate and what it accepts installation targets. You can say add specific gateways, but now we have only one firewall and that's what we are going to install the policy on. So we leave the defaults as they are. We only change the name, and the reason is I want you to see how the gateway receives that name instead of initial policy, the default one. What you're going to see later is what we're going to install from here. So another change we did here. So let's publish that change. Okay, change it, the standard policy name from standard to we call it perimeter policy. I think we did that. Was it that name? I hope so. So next, when you publish the change, that means the name change, then the second thing to do is to install the policy. So you can either install it from here, you can install it from there, you can install it from there, a lot of places. Let's install it. This is specifically on the one that's open. I usually use this one so that I don't mix different policies. I would suggest don't push the threat policy the first time. First do the access control, then you can do the later the threat prevention. And this window will disappear. If you click the details, it will stay on the screen, but if it disappears, then go to the bottom of this page, the Smart Console. My recording is blocking that, but when the window opens, say show details, and then it will show you the policy. Let's go here at the bottom, click on the details, and then a window will appear, and that window will show you the process or the status of the policy installation. So this says the policy has succeeded and it's installed. So if we close, now we have the management server. If you remember, we were having difficulty connecting to the internet. So if we select this, okay, if we say now ping google.com, we have a DNS, we have internet connectivity. That policy with the NATing is allowing us to download stuff. So we say check for updates. This will now go update the deployment agent and download the hotfixes, and then I will take the same steps I have done in the gateway. When we download, verify the hotfix, install it, the machine will reboot. Of course, everything will close like this one as well. And while that's doing the work, you can check actually the logs, and in the logs you can see what traffic is actually going through the firewall, what has been allowed. We don't have any rule that's blocking anything, but the logs will be here. So if you click on the logs, it has to build for some time, so you have to be patient with that as well. So that's us pushing policy, accessing the Smart Console, and having the gateway added. You can have multiple of gateways in clusters as well, added to the management server, and then allowing the internal network to access the internet. And now our management server is going off to the internet, downloading its packages. So that will update it. We will download and then update the management server.